Hi, so I'm Hélène Plun-Favreau. I'm a professor at the Queen Square Institute of Neurology, and I'm also the Deputy Director for Equality, Diversity and Inclusion. Yes, the best thing of working at the Institute of Neurology, I think, is actually working in a diverse environment. I think could always be more diverse, of course, but it's already a lot of diversity in terms of ethnicity, in terms of age, but also working with clinicians and working with scientists, having the occasion to also do a little bit of teaching, so working with lecturers, etc. So I think is what I enjoy the most about working at the Institute of Neurology is the diversity, really. Yes, so my experience with EDI is really, I was actually born in Paris, in France. But when I was 1 year old, between 1 and 2 years old, I moved to Africa where my sister was born, and I spent most of my childhood until I was 18 in Africa. And both my parents were teachers, and I was obviously in a privileged background there, and I think it gave me this sense of the luck I had and wanting, I guess, to share what I had, but it also gave me a great idea as to the power of the diversity and the importance of the inclusion. So it's something that I've always tried to take into consideration into my work. It was not always easy, but then when I moved to the Institute of Neurology, a few years later, after I set up my lab, I got the occasion to become the lead for the FNS1, which is the gender equality chart at the Institute. I did that for a few years, stepped down, because I think it's always good to change leadership as well and change ideas, etc. But then when this post of Deputy Director of Equality, Diversity and Inclusion came, I took the opportunity to apply for it, because for me it was really the opportunity to work not only on gender equality, but also on all the other inequalities. Again, whether it's ethnicity, whether it's sex preferences, age, disability, religion and beliefs, etc., etc. So for me, it's something which not only is important to me, but something I enjoy, because my mind is actually conflicted all the time, and I learn every day working on it from the others. So that's something I very enjoy, first of all, but which also I think is absolutely key to success. Yes, so I try to incorporate EDI into my work, and I think, you know, the best way to do that is to question yourself constantly, whether you actually do it, whether you do it enough, you never do it enough, whether you're actually equal with everyone, and it's something that you need to question yourself, because you don't have the same feeling, you don't have the same impression of everyone at first sight, for example, and I think it's not easy to necessarily have to be equal with everyone, so it's something you need to question yourself about all the time and try your best to do it. And the way I incorporate it into my work is obviously within my team. Each time I recruit new members in my team, I try to encourage diverse colleagues to apply. I encourage my team to be curious, to ask questions about others, because again, I'm absolutely convinced that this is absolutely key to the success of a lab. Yes, so the benefits and value of an inclusive workspace, I think it's not only benefits and value, it's actually a requirement. I think as smart, brilliant as one mind can be, I think 10 minds, different minds, will always be stronger than one. I think we need to understand that actually the EDI is not a tick box exercise. It's really something which is absolutely key to the success of any institution. And that's what I believe. Yeah, which is exactly why I work on EDI every day. Yes, so I think it is absolutely key that leadership is actually taking a role into implementing EDI into an institution. And I think the best way that they can do that is actually believing in what I was just saying before, in believing that EDI is actually key requirement to success as opposed to a tick box exercise. And I think the more we will hear that from the leadership and not only from the underrepresented characteristic or colleagues. So basically the more we will hear that from senior colleagues, maybe men, maybe white, and the more we will hear this strong message, the more it will encourage a diverse population or diverse colleagues to actually join us. Yeah, so to try and ensure that everyone can express themselves, whatever their ideas are, is that again, I really try to encourage curiosity in the group, in between or with my colleagues. But I also, sometimes what I do is that I share some of my experiences where maybe I've said something that maybe I shouldn't have said, or, you know, or maybe I had a different opinion from someone else and I said it anyway. And I try to share that and explain that whatever you say, what is important is that you can have the confidence, if you can, to actually say it, whatever your thoughts are, and whether your thoughts are the same or whether the thoughts are different from most of your colleagues around you. And that, again, if you're working in an environment where your thoughts are actually protected in a way, then more and more colleagues will feel encouraged to do it, and I hope we'll do it. But it is something which is difficult because I think it is also something which comes with a little bit of experience, with a little bit of confidence, or even if it's not confidence, it's a little bit of experience in hiding your lack of confidence, maybe is a better way to say it. So yes, that is the way I try to do this, is creating a safe environment, or trying to create a safe environment and curious environment around me, and sharing my experiences. Yes, so an advice I would give to actually ECRs is really to believe in their dreams. And I know I find it difficult myself because I think junior colleagues are asked earlier and earlier to already have a plan of career in their head, you know, everything should be thought through. And I think, of course, it's something which is needed to think through your career, but it's also important to think that it can change on the way. And then I think if you, the advice I would give is probably to keep, for everyone to keep their eyes open, because often the opportunities are actually coming from sideways, which you don't necessarily plan. And I think that would be my advice. It's good to plan your career, but it's also good to keep your eyes open and grab the opportunities as they arise, I think would be my advice.